Hey guys, it's Jasmine. I haven't talked to you in a while and I wanted to go for a little walk and just talk to you guys about some things that have been going on in my life lately. So one thing I really want to talk about is just a small prayer that God answered for me. I had been struggling yesterday, just feeling kind of down, and it was just, I wasn't intentionally taking it out on people, but I could tell that just the way I was showing up for my family was not the way I wanted to be. And I was washing the dishes, and I just prayed a simple prayer. I said, God, help me to be happy. And, I could have prayed for peace or just the ability to just get through. But I wanted to be joyful. And I didn't have an answer to that prayer right away. I went through the night and was laying my children down and still no answer. Was still struggling. And I went to lay down my oldest daughter. And, we were talking about things as we like to. And she's only 3 years old, but we have some good, deep conversations. And she started talking about God. We love talking about God and praying together. And we started talking about Jesus and Him being happy. And she has this little toy puppet that she likes playing with. It's a cow. And she said, maybe I can give God my puppet. And that would make him happy. And I said, yeah, I'm sure that would make him happy. And then we talked about some other things, and her head was nestled against my shoulder. I was about to lay her in the bed. And out of nowhere, she says, Jesus makes you happy. And I immediately started crying, tears of just recognition, because as soon as she said those words, I knew that God was answering my prayer through my child. And I started to feel that joy. But more than anything, it was just the joy of knowing that I was heard, knowing that my prayer had been answered, even though it was small. And yeah, it's funny, whenever God answers your prayers, He gives you the recognition that He's answering your prayer. So the moment she said those words, I knew God was answering my prayer. And that gives me hope and renews my faith for bigger prayers. Because there are big things that I'm praying for every day. Big things that our family is waiting on God to show up in. And sometimes it feels like you can pray a prayer 1,000 times and nothing changes. And you wonder if He still cares. You wonder if He's listening. If God hears you. And He does. He really does. He hears you. So I don't know what the cry of your heart is. I don't know what your little or big thing is that you're praying about. But you have to know that God hears you, and He cares. And He will show up, and when He answers your prayer. Now we're not always going to get the answer that we want or in the way that we think we should have it, but we will get an answer. And when we do, then we can remember just the faithfulness of God. I'm sure there are some people out there that are struggling with sickness or a loved one that's sick, and it feels like a never-ending road of waiting to see, are they going to pass? Are they going to get better? What's going to happen? What will my life look like? And it's hard to watch people suffer. It's really hard. I would say it's harder to watch other people suffer than it is to suffer ourselves. Just because there's often not a whole lot that we can do, you know. And sometimes we can, but sometimes we can't. And I just want to encourage you that God hears you. He cares about your situation. He cares about what you're going through right now. No matter what that is, how big or how small. You know, as a mother myself, I know what it's like to be that tired mama to, gosh, I ask the Lord for help in so many things every single day. Help to just get out of bed, help to just change one more diaper and make one more meal, wash one more dish, to, you know, put a smile on my face when I am weary, and to just roll around and play with my children. So if there are any mamas out there that are really tired and ragged and struggling, God hears you. Call out to Him for help. He will help you. He will give you strength where you don't have any strength. He will give you patience where you don't think you have any patience. And He will show up for you. You know, maybe you are just struggling to believe God in this dark world. I know it can be hard to come to grips with the fact that there is so much darkness and evil in this world, so much pain and suffering, you know, and that's the age-old question: how could a good God let such horrible things happen? And the only answer I have is that we have an enemy in this world. We have an enemy that wants to steal, kill, and destroy everything that is good, everything that God has made. And also God has given us free will, so we have the choice to do what is right or what is wrong. And that's something that He doesn't take away from us. You know, ever since that first decision was made to eat that fruit, we have been suffering the consequences of the free will of mankind. And our enemy has been at work, trying to steal, kill, and destroy every good thing that God has for us. Which can make it seem like there is no good, that God doesn't care, He's not good. But the truth is that He is. You know, and especially if you watch the news, you're going to see nothing but horrible things happening every single day. You know, I always say that the enemy likes to make big showcases. Here's this big, huge, horrible thing that happened. Here's this big, huge, horrible thing that happened. But God is so different. You know, He does great, wonderful, amazing things that are big. But I mean, if you look around you, look at all the detail in creation. Look at the rocks, look at the bugs, look at the sticks. You know, all the way down to a cell or an atom. God is a God of details and a God of little things. You know, and how many little things of goodness has He put into this day and into our lives? How many people were encouraged? How many people smiled? How many people had peace? How many people found the strength to keep going one more day? How many people bought a cup of coffee for someone, or helped somebody cross the street, or picked up a dollar bill that somebody dropped? You know, how many babies smiled at people that were grieving or grumpy or tired or having a bad day? You know, one thing I'm learning is that there's nothing too small. Nothing that God does not care about. No detail that is unimportant to Him. Everything matters. Everything counts. Everything adds up. So that can be our encouragement. You know, that the weight of the goodness of God outweighs the weight of the evil in the world. And if you look at how evil and dark everything is around us, what the weight of that looks like, be amazed, because far greater is the weight of glory. Far greater is the sum of the riches of the Lord. Not just monetary riches, riches and glory, riches and peace and love and forgiveness and provision. He's so faithful. He tells the sun to rise every morning, shows it where to set, tells the wind where to blow, makes the trees and plants flower and blossom every year. He is faithful season to season. He's so good. I mean, what kind of God makes flowers and fruits and rivers and mountains and babies and all these beautiful, precious things in life? How can he be anything but good? I mean, look into a baby's eyes and tell me there's anything but good in there. Because they're so pure, so perfect. And only someone who is perfect can make something so, can make something pure. Someone who is evil or bad cannot make something good. There's nothing good the devil can make. He has no ability to. It's only God. It's only God. It's such a beautiful day. The past few days it was just raining here and there, and it's so nice. This morning it was all gray and overcast, and then out of nowhere it just brightened up, and now there's blue in the sky and the clouds and the sun is shining. And it's just lovely. But I'm walking down to the river. I think I'm going to turn around though, because there's a tour bus parked near it, which means there's about 30 people at my favorite little spot that I like to go to. So we're going to turn around and go back. But it's okay. I've been to this river many times, and it's been a great comfort to me. But the point of this walk is to talk to you and to just reflect on the goodness of God. You know, and he redeems everything. Even the things in life that are painful, the things that hurt, the things that break us down. It can make your faith waver, make you question God. You know, our first child, we miscarried 10 weeks and 4 days. And I remember it was in the height of COVID. We didn't know what was going on. We thought maybe we knew, but we were hoping that it wasn't what we thought it was. So we're in the emergency room, and I have to be by myself, wearing a mask. My husband can't be with me. All I need is that ultrasound. All I need to know is there a heartbeat? That's all I need to know. And, you know, oh, we got to do blood work. We got to do all these things. Waiting hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. You know, to finally do that ultrasound and finally hear them say, you know, there's no heartbeat. That was one of the most ripping experiences I've ever been through. It just breaks you down. But I know that I wasn't in that room alone. I wasn't in that room alone. And even in the midst of that grief, of that pain, there was a weird, weird sense of peace. And I can't explain it to you, because it wasn't like everything was okay, because it wasn't. But still, there was just this reserve of peace that I was able to have. And I vowed in my heart to not be bitter against God for this. I set my mind to not have bitterness about it or resentment. And I don't know why we lost our child. I don't know why. I ask myself that question many times, and the only answer I can find is that God is God and I am not. I don't have every answer. I don't claim to, and I don't need to. But, in His kindness, even in that really painful experience, the nurse that was helping me, bringing me a warm blanket, offering a sip of water, encouragement through this horrific experience, she talked to me and said, I'm so sorry. I just went through this not that long ago. And she had miscarried. And just the kindness of God, that in my pain and suffering, He knew I was going to need someone that knew what it was like. And He had that already set up and preordained to have somebody walk with me that had just suffered that loss. Because until you have, I pray to God that you don't ever lose a child. But there are no words. It's not just sadness, it's not just, especially if you've never even met the child yet. It's the sadness and the loss of the things that will never be. Not remembering the things that were and wishing that you could have those things again. It's the things that you were looking forward to that will never come to be, at least on this earth. Maybe in heaven I'll get to raise our little baby up and snuggle them, and I know that I see him. But I remember one thing that set me off was hearing the song Happy Birthday. Little things you wouldn't expect, because I knew we would never sing Happy Birthday to our baby. And especially with your first, there's so much anticipation, so much excitement and fear, and so much, you're just trying to figure it all out. But in that hospital room, I had a little rock in my pocket that said joy on it. I got from my mother-in-law. And I was just spinning that rock over and over again in my hand. Joy. In a situation where there was no joy. Joy. I kept looking at that, meditating on it. And I told my husband, if there is no heartbeat, if we do not have a child right now, I want our next child's middle name to be Joy. And it is. We had our little girl, maybe a year later, and her middle name is Joy. And that in me is the faithfulness of God. That even in disappointment, even in pain, even in sorrow, even in evil and darkness, He works it all together for good. I don't know how He does it, but He does. He works a masterpiece out of a mess. Out of you and out of me. And He makes us perfect. He is our righteousness. The Lord Jesus. So thanks for walking with me and talking to me as I spill my guts out before you. But yeah, God is good. He is faithful. He hears you. He answers your prayers. He's there. He cares. Don't ever forget that.